Okay, guys, so for my advanced organizer this week, I am doing a Wordle, as you can tell, in the shape of a whale. And then I'm doing a screencast to talk about why I put these specific words in there. Kind of just bear with me because my throat's kind of sore and I'm been a little bit sick this week, so just bear with me. So first, in chapter 6, this is talking about the way to appropriately teach learning and assessing oral language. So a couple of things I found in there that were pretty important. Underneath the content of language instruction, I have the concept of content, which is right here. Let's go back. So for content, basically, it's called semantics, and it refers to the ideas or concepts that we are communicating. So kids need to understand that content is very important to the way that they are going to function. We communicate heavily in the real world, so being able to get them to understand why it's important and use their semantic skills will be very, very important for them. The next word I have is form, which is this word right here. And form refers to the structure and the sound of language. So this is where you're going to start getting to phonemes and phonemic awareness and different things like that. I have phonemic awareness in here somewhere. There it is, phonemic awareness. So there's a lot of different uses for this. So of course, obviously that's important. And then the use. So this is talking about pragmatics, and it says pragmatic refers to the purpose of or function of communication or how we use language to communicate. Use, I don't know exactly what that word is. Oh, there it is. Use right here. Just saying this is why we use this word and this words, and this is why it's important. So then the next thing I really had that really stuck out to me was on page 147, and we're talking about the word retrieval, and this is just this says that some students with learning disabilities or language problems also experience difficulties with word retrieval or word finding. So basically, trying to get students to understand when to use words and how to function properly in a sentence. So how to use those words to form a sentence. Sometimes students with disabilities struggle with this, so this is very important to try to teach students at this point. So word retrieval. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So the next thing I found was the guidelines for teaching language or teaching oral language. So this section, this is from page 150 to 158, and these are just some almost some strategies that you could use to help your students learn. So let's see, over here it talks about use self-talk or parallel to describe what others are doing or thinking. Use modeling. So of course modeling is a very important part of teaching. We want the students to be aware of what they're supposed to be doing. So we give them something that we give them a demonstration of how we expect this to work, and then they follow through with that. One of these is talking about using a game, implementing it with a game. So that'll really get the students involved, and they'll really want to play, especially if there's a reward system. So reward is a very important problem or part of this. And then using elaborate language. These are just some different strategies I found that'll be very important and very useful for students who are struggling with this particular part of oral language. Let's see, where did I have next? And then the next thing is families. Of course, using the family is a great way to indicate I'm sorry. Families are a great way to help you extend learning language or learning oral language, different things like that. Just be cautious because you want to make sure that what the families are teaching them is academical, and we don't want them to just be getting something from us and something different from the parents at home. So having a conference with the parent, again, to see where they think this could be taught at. So families is a great way to get involved with helping. They could really help and then be an asset to you in that way. So next thing, next part of this section, this advanced organizer, is the National Reading Panel, and it talks about the 5 essential components and in the literacy intro. So basically, the five essential components of this are phonemes, which is over here, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency is in here somewhere, comprehension is in here somewhere, and then vocabulary. And these are just basically the 5 key points that we need to be pushing harder in our school, in our studies, and with our students. Teaching these to them, teaching these early on too. So we don't want to these students to be lacking very far behind in phonemic awareness when they're in 6th grade. We want to be implementing these strategies early and often. So I feel like far too often students or teachers just kind of give up on helping a student because they think, oh, they're never going to get it. So this PDF that we have just kind of shows us how can we use these strategies successfully to help our students. Again, this is just for one particular set. This is not a set rule because every student is different. So we don't know if the strategies that they are talking about are going to work with your students, but just working with the students to see, hey, this is what I think and this is what we should probably be doing is a great way. And this is kind of what that's talking about. And then going along with that, the video from the National Reading Panel, it talks about some of the key, I found 5 key points that I found in that. So I found that obviously reading is important. So reading is the foundation of learning. We cannot do a whole lot of other things if we're not reading. So that being said, they went on to talk about how because students were becoming so far behind in their reading, that Congress actually got involved in this and they mandated an act. So this is known as the No Child Left Behind Act. Obviously, we've learned about that forever, or for a long time. But this is why that was implemented, because students were not reading appropriately. So this is just a better way to make sure that no child gets left behind, obviously, as the act talks about. But we don't want to make sure that every student is getting the same opportunities, and even if they need some more accommodations, that they're still receiving the accommodations they need to be successful in the classroom. Awareness of sounds or oral language and figuring out how those relate to the words on the page of the foundation of a child being able to read. So that's just something I've really thought that really stuck out to me was so trying to get students to understand that what they're saying in their mouth and what is read on the page is essentially the same thing. So we want them to sound out the words, again, phonemic awareness, phonemes. We want them to have that basic understanding of sounding out words to be able to understand that, understand how to read. Another key thing I found was having children read with someone and having them get feedback from someone is essential. So we don't want to just send a student off to the corner and let them read by themselves and then because you don't know if they're actually reading the words correctly or what they're doing. So if they're reading it out loud and reading it with one of their peers or reading it with you, an aide in the classroom, whoever it may be, a pathologist, a speech pathologist, whoever it may be, you want them reading out loud so that they can hear what they're actually trying to say and not just using it in their brain. And then this kind of ties along with that. It says reading alone in the classroom should not be the only type of reading instruction happening in the classroom. So again, just what I said earlier, we don't want the students to be reading alone all the time because then they're not really learning a whole lot. We want them to have that, using their words, using their mouth to produce those words and reading what's on the paper and producing it with their mouth. So next thing that I found was my favorite no video. So a couple of keywords I found in that from that were embarrassment, which is in here somewhere. I just saw it. Embarrassment, which one of them's down here. Correction to common mistakes. And then engagement. So basically what this video says is that this is an 8th grade math teacher, and what she does is she gives a problem on the board every day. It's like a bell ringer. And what she does is she has all of her students answer them on a note card, and they write their name on them. And what she does is she goes through and sees which answers are correct and which answers are wrong. And from those answers are wrong, she picks her favorite wrong answer. And she shows the students what the students get to actively be involved. It's a course of it's anonymous. They don't know who incorrectly answered the question. but they get to see what this person did wrong, and how they can fix that. And the person doesn't have to say anything, but she can see, oh, okay, so that's just a common mistake. It usually erases common mistakes like that. So it lets the students see, oh, okay, so if I do this, this, and this, then this is how I get the correct answer. So basically, like I said, there's no embarrassment. So no student is getting called on individually and be like, why'd you get this answer wrong? Like, they are working together to figure out how the student could have got that answer. So common mistakes, they're correcting common mistakes, and then all the students are engaged in this. So they are answering questions saying, oh, okay, I see how she did this, but this is the correct answer. So she's always asking what she really likes about this problem. So what did the student do correctly first, and then what was their mistake? And the students are engaged and active and wanting to learn because they could make the same problem next time. So, and then my favorite video that we watched today was the whole brain teaching, and we watched this today during class actually. But a couple things I pulled from this was differentiation, involvement, and again just engagement. So this is a first grade teacher who is using different cues, different things to get her whole entire class involved. So they know what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it. If she says mirror, they know what they're supposed to be doing. If she says class to class, they say yes to yes. Like, they know, they're on top of it. So she has her classroom management skills down pat, which is awesome. Another thing, I just really like this because, again, her classroom management skills are on point, or not on point. Her classroom management skills are great. I guess you could say on point, but she also is involved and engaged in what the students are doing. So when she has them break apart and they're using Think, Pair, Share, or her version of Think, Pair, Share, she's down on the floor listening to what students are saying. She's not just up there just doing her own work. She's actively involved in what the students are doing, which is really cool to me. So I think that, of course, I'm probably not going to use the same strategy she does because she is teaching first graders and I'm going to be in middle school, and her strategy would not work with my students. But I could see myself using a different version of this, just going through the classroom procedures, giving the students time to think about the answer, like she does with the blowing up the answer in their mouth and their word. That gives them time to think about the question. I think that we all could take a lesson from her, and just her lesson, and that 6-minute lesson that she showed us. I think that's really, really cool, and really helps the students and really helps us see how to get everybody involved in the lesson. So that's kind of what I found. That's my advanced organizer for this week. So thank you guys.